Hi everyone, or maybe just hi to whoever ends up watching this. I know it's kind of late now, but I thought about just recording this video. It feels like I was planning to record this video for like over 10 years. So, but yeah, we'll see where it ends up and how it'll go. Because I had many dreams tonight and I came across something which helped me kind of understand how to approach those dreams. And you know how it is with dreams, they kind of fading fast and so on and so forth. Plus I have a little bit script my notes basically, and I'm not sure if I should read my notes because they were just a raw draft, or how should I go about recording this video, because yeah, I wanted to do it for a long time, to be honest, and I know that my notes, when I write them, they can be more, they carry a certain scent, a certain theme, but they not necessarily are very logical, and but there are in a way, so I guess we'll go for it and see where it ends up. So for some time now, I had these incredible vivid dreams. Clear, almost too real, like to the point where it feel like a deepest part of me, like a seed of, I don't know, the inner man who God created me to be, this inner spirit, is actually just like an avatar moving from one body to another, and that body in a dream is actually experienced from its own point of view, but when I'm waking up I'm having this point of view, and yeah, and in a dream I don't always know what they are about, and at least I didn't know, but I started to writing them down because they were so vivid and so clear that I thought, well, there has to be a meaning to them. But recently I kind of gave up a little bit on them, because I was like, well, I'm writing these dreams down for several months and not much is coming out of it, and I thought to myself, well, so what's the point of doing it? I mean, I got those clear vivid dreams, but what's the point of having them if I can't understand the language that those dreams are speaking? That's the most clear I can say. And yeah, and I came across a video by Sid Roth. It's he has this show called It's Supernatural, and I kind of found myself fascinated about and drawn to his on YouTube, his videos, especially after kind of accepting Christ in my life and Jesus as my personal Lord and Savior, and that kind of changed a lot, and yeah, and those vivid dreams very much came after as a kind of deliverance from weed, from smoking, from other kind of nasty habits that I had. And I remember talking with a friend once when he was saying that, because it didn't occur to me when that was happening, when I was addicted to weed, that when you're on a weed you don't have dreams, or you maybe do have dreams but you don't remember the dreams. And funny enough, in this video, I think it was a couple who was saying that they did a test and find out that if they took people and they woke them up in the REM cycle of the sleep, and apparently you can go psychotic if you don't have those dreams, and they were saying that those dreams are the heart's communication to you in its own language, kind of like a subconscious language. At least that's what reminds me of, because when I was doing a psychology study, NLP, it was kind of, I came across information that actually the subconscious mind communicates with emotions, images, and feelings, and things like that. And they might not be logical, as in human terms logical, but it is the language nonetheless, and it kind of helped me to, it kind of resonate with me on that kind of level. And yeah, and I guess some dots have been connected on those two levels of waking and dreaming, and they were also saying that dreaming is in an alpha brainwave state, which is more like a childlike. And they were saying that the child is living in that alpha state, as if merging this reality with this other reality, and the frequency of that reality, which is picked up on an alpha brainwave range, is actually a rest. Well, not the rest, because it's not all of it, but it's kind of like, a more of it, like our senses and our thinking, which is intellect, which is construed and contrived by five senses, cannot touch upon that. But if we are in touch and more childlike, then we are in an alpha state, and we are just like children, just like Bible was talking about that, about kingdom of heaven and being childlike. And it's clicked. I don't know how else to say it. It kind of clicked. And that's the challenge here that I have to try to really put forth what I know and understand within my own heart, and how to bring it into words, but not only words, but how to speak about it and share it. Because there's a sense of uniqueness in that perspective that I feel might be very useful, not only to myself. And actually, there's a sense that by sharing this perspective, I will learn more about it as well as I'm going to be sharing it, and maybe helping to light some bulbs for others as well, in the sense of, that's what it is. Because well, we'll get to it, I guess. Why? And yeah, it comes back to this 2012, where my aperture of looking at reality was so widened, and that if you kind of take a understanding that the beta brainwaves, which most people operate with on a daily basis, especially adults, is kind of like this hole, this like a camera in the camera aperture, which is very small, and you can understand that if you thinking about the alpha brainwave state, it's kind of getting bigger, and obviously there's bigger and bigger, but let's just stick with the alpha brainwave state, and how impactful that is on us, and how, in my own understanding, I feel like we don't have to live in beta brainwave state. We can live in alpha even as adults. I'm not saying it's easy, because when I had this experience, it was more like being a childlike adult. I don't know how else to say it. Being both at the same child and mature, and understanding and seeing more, but still a childlike. That's the best way I can explain it and put it forth. And they were talking about other examples that apparently a guy who invented Google search had a download in a dream as well, that he had a dream about, that he then wrote down notes about, and then it took him a year to make it into a Google search, but actually that came to him in a dream. And that got me thinking about all those dreams that I had over the 5-6 months that were very vivid and very clear, very specific in many ways. And I was even thinking, like, where did I make the mistake that I didn't get so rich? Obviously, it took him a year, so who knows how it's gonna end up, But yeah, and yeah, how fascinating that really is. How life operates. How we think we are really here and taking our choices, and we are this little kind of like a pawn or on a flat board which we are living, but actually that's totally not how it's actually happening. And yeah, how odd that is, and how wonderful at the same time, how divinely orchestrated God made it to be, and how little we know about it. Although we know about it, again, another thing is like, because it seems like collectively we know a lot about it, but how little we know about it to the degree that we actually living it, Or maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just not living it, but we'll see, I guess. It also reminded me of a thing I heard, that apparently when you have your spiritual, when you kind of awaken, you're born again to that aspect of reality which is spirit, that aspect of you which is born of spirit, as that which is born of flesh is flesh, but that which is born of spirit is spirit. And when you get to that place, how everything completely changes. And yeah, and also the importance of having someone, how to say it, like spiritual emergency, which again, being brought up with an environment that I was brought up, I didn't have any chance even to, well, maybe not a chance, maybe there was a glimmer of hope inside of my heart that prompted me to maybe go try this way, but being so accustomed to live in a certain way, I didn't even know how to approach it. So, or maybe I did have a chance. Well, I once went to a guy in the attempt to kind of do something with it, but it didn't yield the results I wanted, I guess, or I don't know how else to say it, but what I want to say is the importance of integration after such a profound and important experiences, and how having such a experience and having a people who respond positively to it can increase the ability to integrate that experience in your life dramatically, like exponentially. It can increase it and make it much better when you have a loving response and kind response towards what was it that happened to you, and what was it that you gone through, and what was it that you experienced, rather than being surrounded, like in my case, with, at least to my best understanding, with, and the way how I lived, in a very materialistic orientated view, and this is how it is. You go to work, you go back home, you spend time in front of computer, and that's how life is. That, at least that's what it was at that time, and that's how life operates. You have 5 senses, that this is the world, and and that's it. And boy, oh boy, how wrong that is. How inaccurate that is. How not fully true that is. And if something is not fully true, is it really true, you know? And yeah. And really, the information that if you don't have that positive response, if a response that you're having when you're sharing that experience, when you know your inner reality is changed uh, in a way that cannot be, like in my case, I couldn't even put words on it, like, or share it to the degree that it would be like, like it would make sense, like, you know, and how importantly, how vastly important that is. And mine was quite traumatic, to be honest, and it took, and from my own perspective, I can see how long it took to actually get some level of normalcy, where, again, it's that intuitive knowing, which it's not mine, it's coming from the heart, and I guess it wants to be shared, that if we would have had places and people who know how to handle such a things, you know, you could have so much better experience, such an easier path to travel on. And I think it's very important that things like that will actually come into being. And I know there actually are there, but maybe there's not enough of awareness about it, because what reality we live in and the world we live in, considering that there's so much emphasis on consumerism and materialism, and not being happy and not being fulfilled, and the commercials telling you that you're not good enough, subconsciously, obviously. It's not like saying literally you're not good enough, but like, well, you know, you always could be better if you could have our product, basically. That's what they say almost always. And how that ties to this kind of reflection that happiness is actually bad for economy, because when people are happy, they don't want to buy stuff, they do enjoy what they already have. And how odd it is to live in a world where that's not really acknowledged, and how not okay that is, in a way, you know. And over the years, and again, I'll see how this video will do, and and yeah, because for the longest time I didn't know what form should I make these videos in. Should I just share like here right now, because it feels like that's the most honest way I can actually do it, and just having a honest conversation, a sharing of myself, in a sense, the intuition, because there were so many intuitions, downloads, and messages that were coming up, but I don't even know how to, you know, explain it. And at the same time, I don't want to make excuses for myself for not making it, because now reflecting on it, it was there all along, and maybe I was just getting ready to be ready for it, you know, to share it. Maybe that's how it is, that in a way, in that deep aspect, which is beyond time and space, which is God domain, things already exist, because God is I am that I am, and it's not I am this or I am that. God is, so it can only point to reality beyond time and space, and then how in that reality things already exist, but how they trickle down into this time and space realm of experience in a timely fashion, you know, and not mistaking it for fascism or anything like that, but yeah. Um, and again, how much it reminded me of tuning into the bandwidth of reality beyond the spectrum science call real. I've picked up so many. It's like you picked up on so many and you haven't acted on it, and then you realize, oh, that was actually your life speaking to you through you and wanted to be lived. And it's like pushing towards you a path unfolding in front of you, that if you dare to walk that path, it will lead to the promises of God and His hopes for you. It's just sometimes it's so odd to walk that path and thread that needle, so to say. And I know that God put me through a lot to get here, and I guess it was kind of like I was waiting for permission or sort, or maybe I was getting ready, or whatever things needed to change inside of me to actually arrive at this point, to put myself out there in a sense. And and regardless of how it's going to be received, because and I often thought, well, maybe it was fear, maybe it was asking myself if it's too late, or maybe it's actually the right perfect time for it. Maybe all the snippets, dreams, intuitions, reflections are enough to start a conversation, to remind us that being here means something, that life is meaningful, beautiful, because we're engaging, communicating, sharing instead of hoarding, and we can actually embody that which Christ spoke about, to love thy brother as yourself, meaning that to not only share what we have, and what we have is God-given and uniquely ours, but actually at the same time not ours as well. It's ours to share because it's a gift that we have that others might not have. And in this relative reality of temporarily one has more of something and temporarily one has less, we are tested by our willingness to share that and to pour that fluid of a gift of whatever it is from our glass, which might be more full at this specific time, to someone else's, which is less full. And in the same way, when we pour out our glass to someone else can pour into ours of something else, which is this beautiful dance of exchange and being there for each other. And I'm just gonna close out that it's especially odd coming from a background of physical labor, and often hard physical labor, and how value can be measured through that, through your physical labor, through your actual navigating the body in the physical realm of experience. At least it has to be understood in this way to be able to navigate it in such a way as to accomplish certain tasks. And job and labor, which had to do with my hands and body, and how I didn't actually allow myself to leap into that idea that there are other ways to be, and other ways that you can add to this symphony of life beyond just labor. And speaking these, sharing this and recording this video is actually part of that leap. And so here it is, and it's my real first attempt at putting this out there. And if you're watching and any of it resonates, you can share it, you can drop a comment, you can tell me about your dreams and maybe your awakening story, and your hesitation, your journey, and hopefully we can arrive at this place where, guess in the end we can be together in this way and actually live what we meant to be living on here, to actually live this heaven on earth rather than just hope for it.